welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Thestral Spirit, I am playing AspiringSpike's build of Restore Balance Lantern Control. Lantern Control is one of these decks from the history of Modern that was hated at the time but beloved now. It was best back when Mox Opal was legal the first time, and guess what? We have Mox Opal back now. We've never had Urza Saga and Mox Opal at the same time before this recent unban, so this is exciting. The combo here is Lantern of Insight. Players play with the top card of their libraries revealed. And then you have a bunch of Codex Shredders and one Pyxis of Pandemonium. And Codex Shredder taps to mill target player for 1. If you see they're about to draw a good card, you mill it away. If you see they're about to draw a land, or if you're currently land screwing them, if they're going to draw a spell they can't cast, then you let them have it. And then maybe you target yourself with Shredder to fix your own draws. Pyxis, each player exiles the top card of their library face down. There's some cards that you don't want in the graveyard. Maybe something like Ancient Grudge could be a problem for you. Or Flage is a card that is in this format right now. And this just gives you the ability to exile it. But Codex Shredder is better because it targets a player, where this one affects everybody. And then Spike went all the way in to crazy mode, as he does Restore Balance. This is the card Balance, a card that is only legal in Vintage, except this one has to spend 6, unless you cheat it into play. Each player chooses a number of lands they control equal to the number of lands controlled by the player who controls the fewest, then sacrifices the rest. Players sacrifice creatures and discard cards the same way. The card Balance is a bit of a word problem to understand what's actually happening, but basically, if a player has 2 lands in play, everybody sacrifices down to 2 lands. If a player has 1 card in their hand, everybody discards down to 1 card. If a player has 0 creatures, everyone sacks all their creatures, etc. Which is really cool and powerful in a deck that is trying to screw your opponent off resources anyway. Mox Opal is a mana source that Restore Balance doesn't care about. Breaking Balance has frequently been about playing Moxin, going all the way back to Vintage, even now. It is a card that sees play in some Esper combo decks and stuff. And when your mana sources are not lands, and because these are 0-cost artifacts, you can dump them out quickly, which means your hand will be smaller than your opponent. They are likely to have to sacrifice lands and discard cards, making Balance into some massive 5, 6, 7, 20 for 1. The sky's the limit on this one. And the routes to cast Restore Balance here are Beseech the Mirror. If you bargain, you can just cast it without having to wait 6 turns. And As Foretold, which it doesn't have a mana cost, which means its mana value is 0, which means you could just cast it out of As Foretold. Same with Profane Tutor. Profane Tutor also could find the Shredder, the Lantern, the As Foretold, the Restore Balance, the Ensnaring Bridge, whatever it is you need. This is a sweet combination of Restore Balance, a card that has basically never seen play seriously, and Lantern Control, a deck that was at the top of the Modern metagame at one point in history. And here they are, married together through the mad mind of AspiringSpike. I will do my best to play this deck. Let's get into it. I'm on the draw in round 1 with a 1-lander, which is fine, because Mox Opal will be on turn 2. The Restore Balance can fire out of this As Foretold as soon as I have 3 mana, and I might only have 1 land when that happens. This deck plays a lot of discard, and it is nice to start with it, but I'm not going to mulligan a hand that is reasonable. Opponent mull to 5. The technology against a balanced deck is just mull real low. Mishra's Bauble. Baubled yourself. Bloodstained Mire. And they seem to like the card because they did not shuffle it away. I drew a Swamp. That's cool. That lets me save this Prismatic Vista. Alright, I'm going to go Swamp. Am I going to play this Pithing Needle? I mean, they'll Bloodstained Mire in response. I think I'd rather have Codex Shredder in play and get more information about the deck. I will play out the Mox Opal to play around discard. Bloodstained Mire could be a Thoughtseize strategy. And I'll pass the turn. Codex Shredder does have this bonus mode on it of you can pay 5 and tap and sack it to regrow a card from your graveyard to your hand. So generally, that means it's right to just blind shred yourself, because that's a card you could access later. It's been a lot of years since I played Lantern Control seriously competitively, but I remember that being a thing. Faithless Looting, off we go. Discarded 2 Blazing Root Wallas. All right, opponent is blazing. No Vengevines, that's lucky. These are creatures that will die to my balance. I do have to get my hand empty though, and I definitely don't want to blind shred them if they're a deck doing stuff like this. We might see a hollow one here. There it is. Okay, this restore balance is going to be pretty important. Mishra's Bauble. That is what I would have named with Pithing Needle, so got me for a card, I guess. I'll name Blazing Rootwalla, I think. The Street Wraith might be in this deck. Okay, that's really good. Now I can Mistvein Border Post, which will turn on the Mox Opal, and keep me at 1 land, which is actually important here. Swamp. Maybe, could I have done this on 0 lands? I don't think so. Alright, Pithing Needle, I'm going to name Blazing Rootwalla to just save some damage. And I'm going to hope right now that my opponent doesn't have a discard spell or a way to deal 14 extra damage. And I hope they do put a bunch of creatures into play. 6 damage coming in. Nether Goyf. Alright, let's go. Got another creature. Okay, I'm going to my turn. I'm going to cast As Foretold. Thoughtseize doesn't matter. Okay, As Foretold. If I restore balance, I'll have to discard 1 card, and they lose everything. Okay. They lose a land, all their creatures, and I discard 1 card. It'll probably be Prismatic Vista. I could discard Beseech the Mirror and then Thoughtseize the last cards in their hand. Then we're kind of in trash mode, though. Now I'll discard the Vista. But Vista's land number 4. All right, I'll discard Thoughtseize. Oh, this is asking me to keep the cards that I want. All right, I'll keep Beseech the Mirror and Prismatic Vista. Okay. I almost did that backwards. And at the very least, Kahira the Orphan Guard can eventually arrive and come into play and attack. Faithless Looting. Found a Vengevine and a Detective's Phoenix. I'm going to fetch a Swamp here. I don't want to draw a Swamp. As Foretold ticks up. Urza's Saga, straight banger. Now I can decide, if I put in Ensnaring Bridge, it's possible they might just not be able to win at all. If I get the Lantern, I can have the lock. I think I want Ensnaring Bridge because I'll just have access to the Lantern soon anyway. Urza's Saga. And I'm going to Beseech sacking the Pithing Needle. I'll get Ensnaring Bridge and cast it. Okay. Good luck, have fun. I have the lock in 2 turns. These decks sometimes have Bowmaster plus Burning Inquiry that can deal damage 3 points at a time. I'm at 13, which means all 4 of the Burning Inquiries in their deck would leave me at 1. Okay. There was a pause where they checked their list for outs and decided they don't have them. Cool. I could see Grafdigger's Cage being useful. Ensnaring Bridge is going to be really important. The old builds of Lantern Control were all in on Ensnaring Bridge. Is like the Restore Balance covers that in this build, but it is really important that you're not getting attacked, because even if your opponent never draws a relevant spell again from Lantern Lock, if they just have a Raging Goblin in play, you will die eventually. Okay. Nile Spellbomb, Grafdigger's Cage. Thinking about these. They have the Detective's Phoenix, they have the Vengevine. Neither of these cards affect Blazing Rootwalla or Hollow One. I don't think I need Pithing Needle. Zoran Orb is a source of extra life if I need that, and if I want to just shred them down to 0 lands. I don't think I need that either. Thoughtseizing them seems like a fool's errand, because many of the cards in their deck want to be discarded, or they're going to be hellbent throwing cards around like crazy. I do want some to counterplay versus, like if they have Collector Oof, that's something that I really need to beat. Or Brotherhood's End, some card like that. This hand is ugly. I don't think this is a keep. It doesn't ramp. It doesn't get its hand empty for Ensnaring Bridge. It doesn't Lantern Lock. No route to this Restore Balance, other than suspending it. Okay, this one I'll keep. And I'm going to put Restore Balance on the bottom. Do I need both these swamps? I don't need both these swamps. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Having access to the balance in case they find As Foretold is pretty serious. Vengevine and Phoenix in the graveyard. Powerful. Okay, well, here's just the combo. I think I want Urza's Saga just ticking up. I'm not really going to make constructs here. Lantern of Insight. Profane Tutor on top for me. Hollow One on top for you. I've heard that card's good. Ancient Grudge, look at that. I mentioned that in the deck text specifically as a card that you would not want to put in your opponent's graveyard. Burning Inquiry. All right, let's get weird. Each of these cards will spend time on the top of the deck, so I will see everything they draw. Burning Inquiry. I lost my Profane Tutor and my Restore Balance. Got a different Profane Tutor. And I found Pixis, which doesn't matter because Ancient Grudge is already in the graveyard now. They lost 2 Hollow Ones on that. We love that. Stomping Ground could Ancient Grudge now, or Dragon's Rage Channeler. Reasonable. And this is why having access to Ensnaring Bridge is very important. I've got a Pixis. There's an Ensnaring Bridge on top of my deck. Good news, everybody. Swamp. Figuring out this sequencing matters a lot. Because they could Ancient Grudge me off something here. But I have both Border Post and Opal. Okay, I'm going to put in Border Post. And then play Shredder, Opal, and Pixis. Okay, hand is close to empty. Ensnaring Bridge on top of my deck. There is an Ancient Grudge in the graveyard that we're going to have to solve for. I'm not going to mill away a Dragon's Rage Channeler. My Ensnaring Bridge plan is what I'm doing against that. Yeah, I guess like one copy of a Graveyard Hate spell in my deck would make a lot of sense. Just one Nile Spellbomb. I didn't think about the Urza Saga when I was sideboarding. Just having one, I could clear the Ancient Grudge and then cast Ensnaring Bridge and we're cooking. They fetch Shocked. Nethergoyf. They can Phoenix, which will trigger Vengevine. DRC. Am I just dead, actually? So 4. They have to collect evidence, which would shrink the Phoenix. Would it? Or shrink the Goyf? Would it even? Okay, they didn't go for that. That's fine. Yeah, I think I'm going to lose this game because I don't have Welding Jar or Nile Spellbomb in my deck right now. And I deserve that. So my opponent has to think about my Urza Saga. And what if it gets one of those cards that should be in my deck but isn't? Maybe they could trick themselves into just like spazzing off the Ancient Grudge now. They didn't trick themselves. Bad news. Okay, I'm going to float a mana with Urza Saga. And I've got nothing here, and we're just dead. Okay, to the sideboard. That was embarrassing. It's alright. Deck's weird. We're learning. I think Nile Spellbomb is the one, though. If I'm putting one of these cards in my deck, I could get rid of another Thoughtseize and try to play to... And Grafdigger's Cage works too. These don't address Ancient Grudges in their hand, but what the Thoughtseizes do... Maybe Beseech the Mirror is a little slow, and I'll just have my discard in, and then I have some options here. Welding Jar is probably better than Cage. Cage is just like a card in the matchup, though. Okay. Sideboarded better. Game 3. I like this. Keep. I have a turn 3 Restore Balance. Opponent kept 7. Thoughtseize, see what we're working with. Grudge, Natural State, Bauble, Nethergoyf. A Natural State destroys an artifact or enchantment. Ancient Grudge. All right, I'm going to take the Natural State. I'm not worried about the creatures. I can balance them away, theoretically. If they aggressively attack my Border Post, that gets harder. And I'm doing a bunch of damage to myself with these Thoughtseizes as well. Goyf is here. Bauble. Bobbling me now, playing around Thoughtseize with this timing. Good call. Lantern of Insight. Okay. Well, Urza Saga is definitely happening. And then I will Thoughtseize. They did find the land. Well, I'm obviously not taking a Basking Root Wallace, so there's an Ancient Grudge in the graveyard now. And then Border Post, pick up Swamp. It'd be disappointing if they just aggressively grudge the Border Post, but we'll see what happens. That's all we can do. Let's just hope they have a better way to spend their mana this turn, and hope that it's a creature. Discarding cards happens last, so as long as there's Root Wallace in their hand, Restore Ballads could just result in putting a bunch of power into play for them. There's the Mire. I don't want to cast Restore Balance. if it's just an awkward removal spell that also gives them 2 more creatures. Yeah, I might just let Urza Saga do Saga stuff here. Make them play the game. And now that I have this land, I'm not worried about losing my border post to Grudge. I can just make big constructs. And we can make the game about that. Raucous Theater. So that is not a green source. Either they already have a green source in their hand, which is reasonable and likely, or they're prioritizing just getting anything going here. Looting's kind of scary, but I hope they discard the Root Wallas. Vengevine and 1 Root Walla, they could play the other one. The hard way, just Restore Balance is getting a lot better. Green source. Root Walla triggers Vengevine. They can use Ancient Grudge to kill my blocker, and then they're attacking for 8. Okay, make a construct. Successfully blocked. I'm at 9. Pretty healthy life total. I will only have 1 land in play next turn when I balance. The draw was successful. Float a mana. Now I can decide, is it time to get Nile Spellbomb? Grafdigger's Cage does a lot here, including turning off the Ancient Grudge directly. I could get Shredder and turn on Lantern. I think I just want Cage, though. Cage. 1, 2. As foretold. I will have to discard 1 card here, and they will lose 2 lands and 4 creatures. I could play the land, and then I get to keep my cards, but they get to keep 2 lands. 2 seems like an important number. But I also want all the cards in my hand. I could have sequenced this better. If I played out the Lantern, then they'd actually have to discard a card. But if I pass priority right now, they could natural state me, then I'm just in the shit. Okay. I'm going to cast Restore Balance. I should have sequenced this better. Okay, it's just resolving. I'm going to keep Lantern of Insight and Profane Tutor. And I'll discard Prismatic Vista. And we'll see from 9 life what their plan is to return from this hole. I can Profane Tutor next turn for Pixis or Shredder and get the lock-in. Faithless Looting. Dump 2 lands. If the last card in hand right now is Hollow One, that's pretty good. Okay, nothing happened in my upkeep. That's good news. Cast Profane Tutor. I'm going to get Shredder. And then I'll go Lantern, Shredder, Opal. Burning Inquiry, Shredder, Opal. Burning Inquiry's wild because I mostly don't care about it. But if it hits a Blazing Root Wall, that is a creature that comes into play. Opponent might fetch here too, so I'm not going to be in a hurry to shred them. And I don't have the Ensnaring Bridge. So I have to respect just like a creature, like Fear of Missing Out, or just cast a Hollow One. Okay, they're drawing a land. Now I don't need to shred them, which is good because I want to shred myself. I don't want to draw this Inquisition. Blazing Root Walla, that is the known troublemaker over there, the one that makes all my cards weird. Okay, I'm going to shred myself. Drawing a Swamp. Don't really want that, but I don't want them to have a Blazing Root Walla either. Okay, I'll draw the Swamp. Another land on top of my deck. Hate that. I'll buy Kahira. That means I don't need to worry about Root Walla. That actually saves me a lot of stress. I can cast Kahira off of As Foretold. That's the plan here. And this is where being willing to be miserable is important skill when you're playing Lantern Control. You have to be just like so careful with the Codex Shredder, because what if 2 cards in a row are good? Right, you can have Blazing Root Walla. Like there's Hollow One. That's one that I'm actually worried about. They can't Faithless Looting because of the Cage. I'm going to shred their Hollow One. Vengevine. Don't really want them casting that either. You got to draw the Polluted Delta. Profane Tutor. Love that. Okay, shred the Vengevine. Another Hollow One. Bummer. Okay. Cast Kahira. Play Polluted Delta and pass. They would have to have been sandbagging discard effect. Yeah, they're just shuffling that away. Street Wraith. Ooh, mana. Have they been sitting on an Ancient Grudge in hand this whole time? That's gross. I'm in trouble. Okay, so they're drawing Street Wraith for turn, and they have to Wraith their way into 2 spells. Well, Detective's Phoenix is 1. Or no, this doesn't do it. They'd have to get it into their graveyard somehow. So they could cast this as a 2/2. they can bestow it, but that's not 2 creatures. Okay. Unless I catastrophically misunderstand how that card works, I think we're okay. I'm probably just going to have to Profane Tutor for Nile Spellbomb this turn, though. There's 2 Ancient Grudges in the graveyard that are currently on. Just sitting on that Ancient Grudge for the entire game was tight. I think I did mill away an Inquisition of Kozilek at one point that would have put the lock in place. Okay, they bestowed onto their Rootwalla. It's now a 3/3. It's now a 5/3. Okay, so I'm fucked, I guess? Yeah, because I can't answer the graveyard and the hand, and the onboard. Or can I? They could Ancient Grudge my Border Post and my Opal right now, which severely limits what I'm capable of, but then I just get the Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. Let's see if this is solvable. I have to Profane Tutor. Restore Balance doesn't kill their thing. I'm not allowed to look at the top of my deck right now. I could get Nile Spellbomb, try to cantrip into an Ensnaring Bridge. I get the Nile Spellbomb redraw and fetch for mana. I get 2 looks with Lantern off that. Okay, I'll get Nile Spellbomb. There's currently an island on top of my deck. We know that one's not going to help. I can fetch right now and we'll know if we've won or lost the game. Fuck. All right, I guess we're dead. Okay, I feel like that was probably solvable. Or no, I can still Lantern. I can Shredder and Lantern of Insight myself. I have 2 more looks here. We're not dead. We're not dead. I got more. Okay, Shredder myself. Show me Ensnaring Bridge. They are responding right now. Probably going to blow up my Lantern. Yes, they're going after a Lantern right now. So now I won't know what my top card is. Does a shuffle matter here? I'm looking at a random card either way. I think I just let this die. Yeah, because if I cantrip. Alright. That's gone. Mill myself for 1. Spellbomb you, and hope that my top card is Ensnaring Bridge. Ah, the island's back. There's only 1 of those. Okay. This was an interesting game that I'm sure I fucked up somewhere. Cool. On to the next round. That was fun, though. This is a bit of a brain buster, if you're not used to these play patterns. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play in round 2. I have Lantern and Shredder, and as foretold, I'm going to keep this. It needs some help, but the Lantern plus Shredder can hopefully provide that help. And I'm going to get my Border Post in. Those are basically ETB tapped lands with an extra step. Okay, now we've got a plan. Island, another Border Post, and I'm going to play Lantern of Insight. I want to know what my opponent's up to over there. Mox Opal for me, Solitude for you. Okay. So I'm worried about the card Counterspell. Well, they can't Counterspell with that. Oh no, this is Prismatic Ending. Okay. That is fine. I could make them shuffle if I don't want them drawing a land. I could put them to 0 lands and... Alright, I am going to make them shuffle. Shuffle that land away. I don't want you with that shit. Okay. Spell Pierce is tough for me here, but I will know before it's too late if I get away with that or not. So the As Foretold is the first thing I'm going to do this turn. Island, Opal. I lied. It's the second thing I'm going to do. Alright, don't Spell Pierce me. That resolved. Zurin Orb. Codex Shredder. I'm going to sack my island for 2 life and then restore balance for 8 cards. Sometimes it works. Okay, Zenith, Ren and 6. Cool. Well, now they did smartly take out my Lantern of Insight, which means this isn't just free money forever now. We did it. Okay, we're against some sort of Omnath, Zenith, 4-color elemental soup pile garbage thing. I think I want Inquisitions. 1 seems like the right number in Snaring Bridge. Pithing Needle can name Wrenn in 6. That card might be a problem. The Zern Orb might be a little too much. If they're a control deck, like an Omnath deck, they're going to care a lot about lands, where getting the 1 extra land off them is nice, but also I can win without that. Maybe 7 is enough discard spells, and I'll just go -1/+1. This matchup seems pretty positive already. I just need to fade Collectoroo for Stony Silence. A bunch of discard. I like it. I don't like having only 1 mana, but I am gonna run this. Okay, there's another mana. I have to Thoughtseize now, because if they have the Stony Silence in their hand, waiting till turn 2 is too late. Consigned to Memory, Leyline, Binding, Prismatic Ending, Wrath Disguise. Okay, so their hand is all removal spells all day. Colorless Spell. Triggered ability. None of those things are things I'm worried about. And I am worried about Wrath Disguise eventually. I'm going to take Leyline Binding. That can take out my Field Mist Border Post. But if I can get myself to the As Foretold, we're cooking. Lush Portico. That does not cast Consigned to Memory. Dumped Thundering Falls. There's the Strand. At 3 colors, they can exile my Border Post, which is pretty serious. That's just Stone Rain. I am going to play Border Post. Then I can play Swamp. And then I can Thoughtseize them again. Consign, Ending, Wrath. They can't Wrath. I don't care about Consign. I'm going to take Ending. I eventually care about Consign, but today is not that day. 2 colors. None of them blue. Or 3 land types. Dried Arbor, okay. They have to sack that as a creature. Do you sack lands first? You sack lands first, so they don't have to sack that as a creature. Inquisition. I could just keep beating the shit out of their hand and set up some stuff for down the road. Okay, Inquisition you. Force of Vigor. I can't take that one. I will take the Consigned to Memory, though. Or am I worried about Wrath? I'm more worried about Wrath. And then I can Pithing Needle, Wrenn in 6, and play Code Shredder this turn. Shredder. They can't just cast Force of Vigor next turn, which means I want the island. I could name Wrenn in 6. I could also name the Flooded Strand in their hand, but that gives them a land to sacrifice basically for free. But it turns off the Force of Vigor. It turns off their whole hand. All right, I'm going to name Flooded Strand and just live in the short term, which might be a mistake, but I'm going for it. Flooded Strand's in. Hopefully we've successfully turned off all their spells. Didn't attack. Okay, As Foretold. Restore Balance. This will cost them the Dryad Arbor and Flooded Strand, probably, and then 2 cards in their hand. They could Force a Vigor now, basically, for free, because they're losing 2 cards anyway, but then their hand would be Consigned to Memory that they can't cast. But killing the As Foretold here would be a pretty big deal. Okay, did have the Force. Taking out As Foretold and Codex Shredder. Do I blind mill them? Just 1 card closer to winning. Alright, I milled a Force of Vigor. I look like a genius. Okay, their hand is Consigned to Memory. That will not be able to be cast. Oh, they sacked wrong. They thought they could keep Dryad Arbor. You have to sack that during lands or else it'll check on creatures too. Now they have no mana. Okay, so that was a misclick. They should have had... Oh, maybe they just clicked it backwards, because Balance asks you what cards you want to keep, not which cards you want to sacrifice. Yeah, that's literally backwards. Okay, that was probably a UI problem. Tough beats, but on to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw for round 3. I have a 1-land Mox Opal hand. I'm into it. Keep. Always happy to see a Thoughtseize or 2. Ottawara Bauble. Was this like Frogtide who just happened to lead on Bauble or lead on Otawara? I think this is a deck I want to Thoughtseize. Especially now that I can get the Opal on next turn with that land draw. That's big. Okay. It's this shit. Underworld Breach, Aether Spellbomb, Rumble that they can't cast. Yeah, I'm going to take Underworld Breach from this opponent. And that is what they're doing. They're breaching. Saga. Tamiyo is operational. Going to have to deal with that eventually. This is a dangerous deck to mill. Just drawing a card immediately. I have an Opal, so I can fetch a Swamp here. Shredder. Shredder. Opal. Thoughtseize. Okay, 2 Rumbles. A Bauble. Spellbomb's the only castable card here. I guess Bauble is too. Spellbomb's more awkward, and my deck does not have creatures in it. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Bauble. Bauble could also be sequenced to, like, if they Bauble on my turn, they untap, draw a card, draw for Bauble, Tamiyo flips. All right, they're just cracking a clue mid-combat, looking for that land drop. They found the land drop. And there's the Spellbomb. Okay. Thoughtseize. This isn't great. I have missed on my last several draws. Okay, strip a Breach from that hand. See you never. Play another Shredder. And they can rumble a few times and look for more breaches here. Construct. Yeah, Opal sucks for me. I really wanted the land there to beseech for Restore Balance. Yikes. Do I want to... No. I was about to say, do I want to start just aggro milling them? And the answer is no. No, I don't. They can sack their Spellbomb to flip Tamiyo this turn. They don't want to. Okay. As foretold, that does not help me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 could literally die this turn. My opponent's cards have been much better than mine this game. They're drawing 2 cards a turn with Tamiyo the whole time. That's not helpful. Tamiyo can attack under Ensnaring Bridge too. Rumble found Grinding Station or Emery. That Flame of Anor is terrifying. They took Emery. Emery can replay the Grinding Station. Alright, deck. Would be a great time for a land. Or just ripping the balance straight up. That's fine too. Lantern. Right on time. I'm dead. Okay, well, that was terrible. That was the deck doing nothing at all and not coming together and not working. Okay, Nile Spellbomb, Pithing Needle. Damping Sphere does work against the Breach combo part of the deck, but so does the Spellbomb, the Cage, and the Needle. We saw Flame of Anor. I don't love that. Not as an orb matchup. Do I need 2 needles? Yeah, they have a bunch of activated abilities. Beseech, pretty clunky there. I don't think I can play without any bridges in the deck. I'm staring at this list right now and I don't see another card I want to cut. This is pretty awkward. This is one of the top decks in Modern we're playing against. Have to have a plan against it. I'm going to shave 1 Opal. And Opal is pretty important, but the second one's bad. And do I need the second needle? And I could just bring in the Graveyard Hate and do this. Yeah, Grinding Station, though, is like how their deck works. Okay. I am just going to bring in these 3. Mostly because I can't figure out what I want to cut. Okay. Here's a Restore Balance. Eventually. I am going to keep this hand. Island Border Post. They've got a Scalding Tarn. Breeding Pool. Tamiyo. You can't name Clue Token with the Needle because a token is not a card. I'm going to start with this Thoughtseize and then see what I care about. Emery, Jace Wielder, Malevolent Rumble, Beseiju. Yikes. Probably have to Pithing Needle Beseiju just to have any chance of playing this game at all. Jace is a clunker. Emery's really good, but she does die to Restore Balance. I think I'm going to take Rumble and try to let Restore Balance do its job. I'm going to name Beseiju Who Endures with Pithing Needle. Looking for an As Foretold, looking for the mana to cast Beseech the Mirror. They can play Emery this turn. There she is. Hit Haywire Might and Mox Amber. Well, Haywire Might's not a card I can beat. What the fuck? Okay. I'll replay this island. And my plan here is to make some constructs. Though that makes Restore Balance worse. Okay, they're targeting Haywire Might. I hope they just exile my Urza Saga with this. Okay, they did exile the Urza Saga. Is that actually good for me? It's better than the Border Post, but alright, I guess I will make a construct. I need a plan to play this game, though Restore Balance just got worse. And modern decks are a lot better at playing against Lantern Control than they were 10 years ago. Let me tell you. Cards like Beseiju, Urza Saga. Oh good. Here's this shit right after I made the mistake of putting a creature into play. This creature's so bad. Okay, I'll attack, and my opponent will lose a land, a creature, and 2 cards in their hand. Like, maybe I'm just supposed to play to the high roll of what if I draw exactly this 4 of from my deck, versus trying to make do with the plan that's in front of me. They discarded Jason, Beseiju, kept the Emery, of course, because that is a continuing card advantage engine forever. And it's infinite Haywire Mites. Yeah, this Emery just blind milling the Haywire Might ruined my life. Taking out As Foretold makes sense. Played a fetch land that was not the fetch land we've seen in their hand. Okay, I could just beseech the mirror here. What would I do with that? I would sack Pithing Needle. I get what? Grafdigger's Cage? Just to turn off Emery and try to square up with them? Okay. I don't love this, but it's where I am, what I got. Swamp, and I'm going to attack first. I could also beseech away the construct and try to beat Emery. How do I even do that, though? Like a 1-1, 16 turns. My As Foretold's gone. Okay, I'm going to beseech the mirror with Bargain. I'm going to sack the Pithing Needle. They discarded the card it was naming. Grafdigger's Cage turns off the Breach combo and Emery. They're fetching in response. Okay. I have the biggest creature in play now, for whatever that's worth. Mox Amber. Scalding Tarn that we knew about. Fetching mana number 5 is pretty scary. They targeted Haywire Might with Emery, so they have Flame of Anor in their hand. Ay, caramba! Oh no! Alright, you got me. Man, modern decks are so much better than they used to be. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the play in round 4. This hand goes turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Suspend Profane Tutor, looking for As Foretold, which then can cast Restore Balances and stuff. Okay. I'm in. The thing that's becoming very clear to me, which I knew intellectually, but am now fully aware of spiritually, is that you have to be really dialed in on what all the modern decks do, what cards they have, what their interaction is, if you're going to play a deck like Lantern. Like knowing that you need that second Pithing Needle in out of the sideboard because this deck plays Beseiju. That sort of thing is really important. Counterspell, Spell Pierce, Tarmogoyf. I'm going to take Counterspell and just stay aware of Spell Pierce. If I suspend Profane Tutor, I can play around that. Great choice of Counterspell, though. Foil Alpha, something that doesn't actually exist in real life. Maybe there's an F&M promo that does that. Okay, suspend Profane Tutor. The Spell Pierce is really interesting versus the Border Post, because that's kind of like they're able to Spell Pierce my land drop for turn. I kind of hope they just ram Tarmogoyf here, though, thinking that that's better than holding up Spell Pierce, which it usually would be. Okay. They don't think that. As Foretold. Okay. I'm gonna tap Saga and tap Swamp. And then I'm gonna Border Post. Or wait. I could Thoughtseize first. Hold on. The Border Post is more important. I can get my Thoughtseize spell pierced, and then I can pick up. I was about to try to flush out the Pierce on the Border Post, then Thoughtseize them, but this sequencing's better. Whatever my opponent's doing, though, I'm really into it. The deck with Misty Rainforest, Counterspell, and Tarmogoyf just really makes me happy. I wonder if this is Rug Twin, or if it is just a Tarmogoyf tempo deck. What are we doing over there? They are deep in the tank about this Thoughtseize. Probably what they're thinking about is if their hand is 2 counter spells, do they let Thoughtseize resolve and go for whatever my next spell would be? And now that I have As Foretold, I don't need a Profane Tutor for that. Now I can pick something different. Okay, there's the Spell Pierce. I will not pay. I cannot. And now I'll sneak this Border Post in and hope there's not a second Spell Pierce in hand and play my land for turn. Okay, the Spell Pierce is gone, as far as we know. If they counter Profane Tutor, I don't actually care. I would love for them to just shove Tarmogoyf this turn. Kept their card on top. Another land. They're not shoving the Tarmogoyf. They're on to me. Let's see if there's a counterspell for Profane Tutor. I honestly hope there is. Like, if they just cast actual counterspell on this tutor, that would be great. I don't know why they would do that. Ooh, okay. We got him. Got him on the hook. Okay. Float with Urza Saga. Getting Mox Opal here doesn't do anything. I could Pithing Needle Scalding Tarn, but they're about to sack 2 of those lands anyway. I guess I want Lantern of Insight. I could get Zurin Orb and try to just screw them into the ground. Yeah, I'm gonna get Zurin Orb. As Foretold, please don't have another Spell Pierce. There's 1 unknown card in their hand. Okay. I'm gonna sack my land and cast Restore Balance. They get to keep their hand, but they don't have any mana to cast those spells. Cool. And I can Demonic Tutor next turn and Thoughtseize them. Still hitting land drops. That's hardly fair, honestly. Oh, speaking of hardly fair, I'm going to Thoughtseize them with my mana. Take the Tarmogoyf. Their hand is Lightning Bolt. I'm going to Profane Tutor for Codex Shredder and put the hooks in next turn. Just a pass. Spell Pierce is the card I'm worried about here. Right, I'm going to play Lantern of Insight with my mana. There's a Tameo on top for you. Cast Codex Shredder with As Foretold. And I can't really let you have this Tameo. I'm going to shred them in their upkeep. Deceive Rexar. Get his Teamer Twin. Let's go. Big fan. Not a fan of this Border Post, though. Oh, I can play it. Never mind. I have As Foretold. We're cooking. We're good. Cast with As Foretold. And pass. I just never want to tap my Codex Shredder if I don't have to. Splinter Twin on top. They're fetching that away. We go for the Preordain. They do get an opportunity here to Preordain, and they get to look at this Scalding Tarn and 1 other card, and then they have the ability to draw those cards before I can take them. But I do get to see whatever they draw here. Okay, they went top, bottom. I'm supposed to be able to see that. Because after the Scry, the card is on top. I don't like that. I think that is a mistake. Okay. Codex Shred, you... Do I care about Force of Negation? And it's mana. Or it represents mana, I guess. Deceiver Exarch on top. As Foretold goes up to 4. Drew my Vista. Play this Vista. And then, do I want Ensnaring Bridge here? Do I want another Codex Shredder? I think I want Ensnaring Bridge. I could also... Oh no, I know what I want to do. I want to play Restore Balance. Okay. I'm going to gain 2 life from this Prismatic Vista, and then put them to 0 permanents at all, or cards in their hand. I can pay for Spell Pierce here. Restore Balance, cast it, and all of their cards are gone, and they're in the lock. Okay, now we can do this, as long as you like opponent. Next turn, I can play Kahira. They drew a Deceiver Exarch and then have another one. I do want this land, because this gets me Kahira, and the beats begin. Cast with As Foretold. I'm going to let them draw any card that's not a land. Okay, they're done. Sick. That felt really good. Maybe I'm not using Restore Balance aggressively enough. I've had like one good balance in each of the games, even games that I lost, but maybe the second and third balance is what really rules here. I think I want an Ensnaring Bridge. Pithing Needle can name Deceiver Exarch, but I already have one in the main. And Ensnaring Bridge also stops me from getting twinned out. I think versus this Counterspell deck, I just want a bunch of Inquisitions. The Zoran Orb was really good that game. Yeah, I don't think I actually want Pithing Needle. If I have to Needle Deceiver Exarch, things have already gone massively wrong. Shave 1 Opal and 1 Beseech. I am pretty high confidence that I'm not sideboarding optimally here. But every card in the deck is doing so much work, and is so intentional. Okay. A bunch of Disruption. I'll take it. They didn't cast Ragavan. Good start. Inquisition you. Ancient Grudge, Consigned to Memory, Counterspell, Flame of Anor. Opponent came to game. Okay, I am going to take, let's see, Consigned to Memory counters the Pixis if they want it. I don't really like putting Ancient Grudge in the graveyard. I think I have to take Counterspell. Edge Maze kept a card on top. There's the Mountain. Hitting basic lands here is kind of busted. Thoughtseize you. Now there's a Surgical Extraction. I don't care about that there very much. I think it's Flame of Anor that I have to respect here. And I am going to play the Border Post. We got to get through these Ancient Grudges eventually. Yep, that's fine. Preordain, they're starting to dig. They were about to be out of lands, and they don't currently have a way to win the game. Top, don't like that. Okay, Urza Saga, huge game here. Pixis of Pandemonium. Do you want to fight over this with your Consigned to Memory? Because this shuffles away the card they kept on top with Preordain, if they want to counter this. Right now, I have a window to get some value off of them countering my spell. Okay, consign my Pixis. That's a deal. I'm not going to play out the Opal, because Opal is an easy one to bargain away later. Like, I can just hit my land drop, start making constructs. If I hang Opal out and it just gets Ancient Grudged, that'll be disappointing. A Lantern. Okay, now I kind of want you to grudge my Mox Opal. We'll have to respect these constructs at some point. They've crept back up to 4 cards in hand. That's a lot of those. Armageddon, a Tarmogoyf. Now I could... I think I'm going to Beseech for... Nope, that doesn't work. Yeah, Ancient Grudge is just such a powerful card against this archetype. I just brought in some discard spells, I think. I don't have Graveyard Hate in. I didn't realize Ancient Grudge was getting so much play in Modern. We've played against it twice. If I don't make a creature, Restore Balance does kill one of their lands. Okay, I'm not going to make a creature. Profane Tutor, powerful. Okay, we got a Consigned to Memory. Now I really wish I had made a creature. Son of a biscuit. Lantern of Insight, get in there. Another Consign. Alright, yeah, that card's pretty good. I'll suspend Profane Tutor and pass the turn. Consign can counter the Profane Tutor on the way down if they consign the cast this trigger. Okay, they are grudging my Lantern while there is a Lantern on top of my deck. It's literally right there. But they're going to try to Surgical to remove it. Yeah, that's fine. I can't stop that from happening. I can stop myself from getting my next draw step stuffed, though. Which means in my upkeep, I'm going to fetch. Yeah, if they had done all of that in my draw step, it probably would have been more powerful. But I would have fetched away before then. Alright, spending another Profane Tutor. There's that Preordain we saw, and now we're back to having Surgical and Consign as information that we know about. They'll probably consign this Profane Tutor, but I might actually just Profane Tutor for a Swamp. You know, top with the Preordain. Okay, it's cast in time. You consigning this? Okay. Didn't get consigned. That's good. Okay, Force the Negation, pitch and Consign to Memory. That's a 2-for-1 when one card would have done it. Okay, maybe they don't know that that's how that works. Or maybe they're leaving up mana for something else. Those are the possibilities. I'm not going to wish for Kahira because it does not matter. I can't cast Kahira. And I'm nowhere near... Okay, yeah, they just had a Lethal Snapcast, so that makes sense. It wasn't a punt, it was a carefully calculated count. Okay, I do have 2 Ensnaring Bridges in. Snapcaster Mage plus Ancient Grudge makes me want Grafdigger's Cage. There's a lot of interaction in this deck. We have to screw them. I don't think we're going to be able to win a normal game. We're going to have to restore balance really hard. Yeah, being an Ancient Grudge deck, I don't want to cut the Pixis. And that we saw Surgical, which, like Surgical and Codex Shredder, collapses the whole engine. It might be crazy to cut a Codex Shredder, but that's just not the part of the deck that has been successful. Restore Balance has won all my games, not the lock. Okay, I will keep this hand. It has the balance and a lot of interaction. You're going for Inquisition. Counterspell, Flame, Goif, Goif. I'm going to take Counterspell. Misty Rainforest, Profane Tutor. Okay. I'm going to suspend Profane Tutor. Get that to work. I can't take, or I guess I could, Inquisition plus Thoughtseize both their Goifs this turn, but I wasn't going to do that. And getting this clock ticking, and then I can use discard the turn before they would interact with the tutor. Now they have to debate whether they want to tap out for Tarmogoyf, get the pressure going, or not. They didn't debate that very long. Very quick fetch. Tarmogoyf's in, already a 3/4. Another Profane Tutor. Okay. I'm going to Inquisition again. Force of Negation, Flame of Anor, Tarmogoyf. I'm taking Force of Negation, and then I'm going to suspend this other Profane Tutor. And I'm going to hope they don't draw a counterspell right now, because your boy has Restore Balance ready to go if they don't rip the answer. Maybe just run out another Goif. That would be sick. But they have seen the balance, so it's not like I'm getting away with anything here. The Tarmogoyf was, or Preordain was the draw. If they play a land this turn, we're going to know what they dug into. 4 cards in hand. Just got to hope they didn't randomly spin into Spell Pierce here. Though Consigned to Memory also plays versus my Suspend. It's not Consigned to Memory. Grab As Foretold. Come on, deck. Alright, well, now if this one gets countered, at least I have more. Alright, we're going to Restore Balance. I lose my Island. They lose their Tarmogoyf and 2 cards in hand. Yeah, sorry, Island. I'm done with you. Oh no. I have to select what I want to keep, not what I want to lose. They discarded Tarmogoyf Snapcaster, so they have Flame of Anor and Splinter Twin in their hand. So they're really going for the win here. Profane Tutor. Get another dig. Now I have to make real decisions. I don't have either half of my combo. I could just get Urza's Saga and start beating down. It's not sexy, but it's good. Alright, I'm going to get Urza's Saga. Draw for my turn. I'll cast Inquisition of Kozilek with As Foretold. Snapcaster in response. Okay. This is just a 2/1 on the board. I'm going to take this Flame of Anor, leave you a Splinter Twin, and play Urza's Saga. Hope they don't come up with an answer to that in the near future. Or just a bigger creature. Yikes. Well, this has gone poorly. Ensnaring Bridge is a good one. Alright, I will cast Mox Opal. I take 6 here. I am not going to trade with Snapcaster Mage. I'm going to try to make big enough constructs to actually win a fight versus the Tarmogoyf. If they just have Lightning Bolt right here or Ancient Grudge, we're in trouble. Vista, not great for me. Oh, they're spending mana. Consigned to Memory, countering my Tutor. You can't counter the Construct, but you can counter the Tutor. This leaves me with 2 3/3s. 2 3/3s do stabilize this board. I'm going to As Foretold another As Foretold into play. And I don't have to Thoughtseize this Splinter Twin. Not yet. Preordain. I lose to a Lightning Bolt. I lose eventually to a... Oh, they went top. Jesus. Alright. Hedge Maze. Okay, so I have the information here I need to make informed decisions. I am going to fetch, because I don't want to draw a Swamp. Come on, deck. Useful card. Beseech the Mirror is an extremely useful card. Okay. What do I do with it? I can't Restore Balance. I could get Ensnaring Bridge, but if they left Ancient Grudge on top of their deck right now, it doesn't matter. Okay. I am going to Beseech using As Foretold, and I'm not going to bargain because I have plenty of mana. Restore Balance, no good. They kept their card on top. Oh, I could get Codex Shredder and just shred their top card right now. bold and exciting. All right, I'm going to get Codex Shredder. They looked at this card twice and did not get rid of it. Ancient Grudge. All right, I don't love that being gone. I should have got fucking Pixis. Yeah, if I got Pixis, their card would be gone and it couldn't have been Ancient Grudge. Yeah, that was a mistake that is going to cost me the game, most likely. Okay, no blocks. 2 Thoughtseizes in my hand. Okay, if I just got Pixis, we're stable, and maybe even winning. And now they can Splinter Twin their Snapcaster, even if they want to do that. Okay, all you have to do is attack. Yeah, another razor thin thing where it's like, if I had played 20 games with this build, maybe I know that, or if I'm playing Modern 2 leagues a day instead of Legacy, I would know that. Yeah, this game, or this deck is really hard to play correctly, even though the core engines are pretty clear what you're supposed to be doing. Brain melted onto the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. I'm going to keep my hand. I have a turn 3 Restore Balance. I'm not really doing anything to cheat it into play, or, well, I'm cheating it into play, but I guess if I play Saga first, I will be cheating a little bit, because they'll be on the play and one of my lands will die. Faithless Looting, okay. What flavor of looting are we? Detective's Phoenix. We're doing this again. So it begins. Shall it end? Okay, Zurin Orb is a banger. I'm just going to dump out all my cards. Here we go. Zurin Orb fixes the problem I said of I'm not really manipulating my lands with opals or border posts. Nether Goof. Right in the nethers. Okay, the Inquisition. Here we go. Nobody expects it. Persist. Okay, their hand is 2 lands. And I should be able to smoke their life next turn. I tutor the Lantern of Insight. Sack all my lands. Game. The Goyf's got me for 4. I hope they play a creature or just flashback looting. I guess Wrenn and 6 would be a card I would hate to see here. I don't know if they have that card, but I wouldn't want to see it. Faithless Looting. Off you go. Discarded Wooded Foothills, or the Verdant Catacombs and another thing. Okay, Cycling Street Wraith. If you want to play Hollow One here, I'm not mad about it. Please bobble now. Please bobble now. Yes. Let's see where this goes. They will have fewer cards in hand than me when I go off. Unless I draw a 0 right now. Mox Opal would be a great draw. I wouldn't complain. Vista. Hate that. Okay. Float a mana. Get Lantern of Insight. Lantern of Insight. There's another Goyf on top of your deck. Do I want to draw this land? I don't. Okay, I will end up sacking all my lands here, though. Okay, I'm going to play the... I guess I have to. Literally have to, because As Foretold's part of the plan. Okay, As Foretold. Oh, I will end up with the same number of cards. It's fine. Zurin Orb, gain some life. Zurin Orb, gain some life. Restore balance. I think I am scared of Nether Goyf enough to mill it, because that is a lot of power and toughness for 1 mana. Okay, there is a mana. We may never know without the help of a discard spell whether it was right to do that or not. God, do they have another Nether Goyf? Okay. They fetch, shocked, shuffled. I don't care about Fatal Push. I will not be arguing with that card. And I will take this Polluted Delta, just kind of being careful with my plays here. The 3-turn ticker is going. When I can beseech the mirror again, we go again. Right, so they have Fatal Push in hand. Archon of Cruelty on top of the deck. Don't want to put that in their graveyard for them. That's for sure. I also don't want to draw this border post. I'm going to fetch Beseech the Mirror. I like that one. I'll take it. Opal on top. Prismatic Vista in play. Fetching away then Archon. Troll of Khazad-dûm. That can manipulate the top card of their deck. Detective's Phoenix. That one I don't really want in the graveyard. But they need another creature before that's a problem. Cycling Troll. They can start escaping Nether Goyfs next turn. Oh, are they out of swamps? Why would they Swamp Cycle then concede? Interesting. All right, cool. Ensnaring Bridge looks really important here. Graveyard Hate looks really important here. I'm going to bring in 2 of the bridges, not all 3. All 3 is probably for like Eldrazi aggro or something like that, where you just might not have time to even tutor for it. And do my normal thing of just shaving some cards. That is probably wrong. Okay, a no-lander that is not going anywhere. I'm going to mulligan this. This is a little messy, but I'll keep it. And I think I'm going to bottom Zurin Orb. Yeah, I'll get rid of Zurin Orb, just in case they have a discard spell for one of my Asfortolds. They've got a Blood Crypt and a Dragon's Rage Channeler. And a Mishra's Bauble. Dumped a FOMO, that is Delirium already, once the artifact goes in. Bobbling me now. Pixis of Pandemonium. I have to Thoughtseize. Break the Ice. Oh, I guess I did show you. Bauble. I'm going to take this Meltdown. Or I showed you Saga, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Persist and Archon in the hand. If they're able to surveil away a different Archon, we're in trouble. I haven't had to play against Meltdown yet this league. We've been playing against Ancient Technology in the form of Ancient Grudge instead. Okay, they did have a Thoughtseize. Probably going to lose my Lantern of Insight here. Yep, Lantern's gone. I am looking for mana to get to this As Foretold. Okay, mana achieved. I am going to get the island just in case. I'm going to dump out cards that could be discarded. They found the second land. They could persist their Street Wraith if they want some extra beats. I don't think that's outrageous to do. And I haven't done a single blind self-shred in this league, but we also have not ever come close to having 5 mana to do that. I also don't have... I do not have the life total luxury to cast Thoughtseize here. Yeah, this really fell apart. Was this a bad keep? Or was my deck just inherently bad against a single 3/3 creature? Fear of missing out. Okay, this kills me, right? Oh, fear of missing out has to attack, not whenever you attack. But this does dump the Archon, which turns on the Persist, which means my Thoughtseize is live, but if I Thoughtseize, I lose. Hey, I'm going to shred them just to see if I can flip over another sideboard card. We know about Break the Ice now, and Meltdown. I'll mill ya. You already have Delirium, you already have Archon. What could go wrong? Mox Opal plays As Foretold, then I lose. Cool. Alright, that was bad. I think I'm going to turn all of my Thoughtseizes into Inquisitions, or as many as I can, because every card I saw that I care about costs less than 4, and life total matters here. Mox Opal's really bad against the card Meltdown. Okay, I am going to try this again. A no-lander I have to mulligan. A no-lander I have to mulligan. Mox Opal's almost on. Sad. Oh my god, come on. Going to 4. Alright, I guess I keep this one. I will put one of the Ensnaring Bridges and one of the lands, and I guess it has to be the Restore Balance. Like, my plan here is just play out artifacts until I cast Ensnaring Bridge. Yeah, I think if I got to keep one more card, I would keep the Restore Balance, but I don't. Falling to 4 is really bad. I'm going to play out the Opal. It plays into Meltdown, but plays out of Thoughtseize. This Opal's not even on. Faithless Looting. Archon of Cruelty and Detected Phoenix in the graveyard. As Foretold. Oh my god. A mana away. If I can resolve this Ensnaring Bridge, I'll feel good, but if they just cast Persist this turn, it's over. And mulling to 4. 4. That's so few. I looked at 21 whole cards before I saw a land. In the next 7. Okay, if they persist, I will discard As Foretold, and then hope to draw an untapped source of mana right now to cast Ensnaring Bridge. And concede if I don't. Land? Oh my god. Alright. Well, that sucked. Okay, this deck, there were 2 things happening, kind of a pincer motion from either side that led to the lack of success in this league. Number 1, modern decks are much better than they used to be. Cards are much better than they used to be. Things like Boseiju can just be tucked into a deck. Things like Dragon's Rage Channeler can just resolve before you get to Inquisition your opponent because you're on the draw, and then you just die in 3-point chunks. Urza Saga exists. We played against other Urza Saga decks where it becomes really hard to Thoughtseize all the action out of your opponent's hand if a land is the action. And then the Shredder lock is much less of a lock than it used to be, because unless you have 2 or 3 Shredders going, which literally was never close to happening even once in this league, then like top decks are just really good right now. And if you shred one thing, there might be something else underneath it. And back in the day, I did actually play a lot of Lantern Control. I took it to some Star City events. I took it to a regional Pro Tour qualifier. I was serious about it, and I have a lot of memories of having like 3 Shredders and a Pixis in play with 2 Ensnaring Bridges, and we regularly achieved that game state back then. It's probably better now that that doesn't exist. Oh, Force of Negation and Force of Vigor are both cards I played against this league that don't exist 10 years ago. And the existence of new cards and new counterplay are the reason that Mox Opal and the other cards that came off the ban list with it are being given another shot. And from that side of the pinch, I agree. The other side of the pinch is you have to be hyper dialed into Modern and hyper dialed into this deck and hyper dialed into what Modern decks would do specifically against your deck in order to make the correct decisions with this deck. And I do play Modern. I am aware of what's going on, but I'm aware of what's going on when I'm trying to go off with Breach, or what's going on when should I tap out for Psychic Frog on turn 2 or not. I am not in the matrix like, is 1 or 2 Pithing Needles the correct number? And what do I blind name with Pithing Needle on turn 1 in a matchup? I don't have those muscles built right now. I didn't come in here completely empty. I did watch an AspiringSpike video where he played this deck. I did some homework here, and it was still just kind of a disaster, if I'm being honest. But hopefully it was fun and we learned stuff. The Restore Balance part of the deck was the best part. Like, what if we just don't play Lantern and Codex Shredder? Like, what if in addition to Restore Balance, we just have like a Fatal Push somewhere in the list? And then we're doing something different. It's different, but this was the most exciting part. The As Foretold with the Suspend cards was the most exciting part of this league, for sure. And then I could take or leave Lantern Control. That's where I'm going to leave this one. Thestral Spirit, thank you for sending this in. Sorry we couldn't do better. Everyone else, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon. I'll see you next time.